Today I'm going to take a look at some headphones that I have to say surprised me in a number of ways. They're the SR80X from Grado, so let's check them out. Now, the SR80X are the latest release in Grado's 80 series of headphones, using their new 4th generation driver that's supposed to be lighter and more dynamic. Now, I will say these headphones could have a wide range of applications and maybe some that are unexpected. So let's get right to the audio test and see just who these are for. Now, looking at the logarithmic frequency comparison of the sine sweep both direct and through the headphones, we can see that there's an underemphasis on the low bass frequencies below 80 Hz. Nothing I wouldn't expect in an open back headphone. I mean, we see this all the time, and I'll talk about that a bit more in my final thoughts later on. We also see kind of an emphasis or a boost in the 2K to 10K range here, and then it comes right back down in line above 10K. So this is going to give you a lot more detail in those mid frequencies. Could be all right for production applications. Again, I'll talk about this a little more later, but that's what we see to start with. Let's also check out the linear comparison to get a little more resolution in those higher frequencies. And when we look at the linear comparison, we see a little more detail in that 2 to 10K range. The great thing here is a gradual boost across the entire range. I don't see any sharp spikes above or below, so we're not going to get anything sort of throwing off our perception of these mid frequencies, even if they are elevated. Now, when we're doing a music comparison with headphones, what we're really looking for is the ability of the drivers and the tuning to reproduce a wide range of frequencies when they need to at the same time. And so looking here again, we see a very similar comparison to what we had with the sine sweeps. That's a really good sign that these drivers don't suffer when they're subjected to bass, mid, and treble at the same time. Now, we do have a bit of that underemphasis in the low frequencies and a little bit of overemphasis in the 2 to 5K. Again, when I think about studio headphones, especially for mixing, we see this kind of profile a lot because it really lets you pick out some of the details in the mix. So not necessarily a bad thing here. We'll take a quick peek at the details in the linear analysis as well. And with the enhanced detail in the upper frequencies from the linear analysis, we can see here that really the headphones follow the profile of the sound. If not boosted a little bit, but there really isn't any great departure, so we're getting a reasonable representation of what was intended in the original recording.
What about the world we both believed in? What about the word that made it so? What about the world we both believed in? What about the word that made it so?
You show me beauty in life. You put me first all the time. No wonder I'm on a high when I'm with you, oh yeah. You show me beauty in life. You put me first all the time. No wonder I'm on a high when I'm with you, oh yeah.
Now, I've had a number of requests to add soloed male and female vocal comparisons to my headphone reviews, so I've gone ahead and done that in this review. And when you look at the male and female vocal comparisons, what you're going to see here is these headphones provide a very reasonable representation of the vocals as they were intended in the original recording. Because of the boost in that 2 to 10K range, They're going to be a little more forward sounding in the mix. Not entirely a bad thing, again, depending on your application, and it comes down to preference to some extent, of course. But overall, I'm going to say these headphones do a really good job on both male and female vocals. And this is a sample of spoken words, so we can compare the sound of the recording directly versus the sound through the headphones. And this is a sample of spoken words, so we can compare the sound of the recording directly versus the sound through the headphones. Now, when I think about headphones for voiceover and podcast applications, what I'm really looking at is their ability to accurately reproduce the character of the speaker's voice. Of course, clarity is also very important. These headphones check both of those boxes. Now, if you want to use them for recording, I'm going to say they're not the best choice. They're an open back design. You're going to get mic bleed, especially if you're using a condenser microphone. But if you're using them for a post-production application, editing in a DAW or video program, they're going to do a great job for you there, and you will hear what your listeners are going to hear. Now, if you're using them to consume content, I'm going to say that they provide a good level of clarity without being fatiguing over a long period of time. So if you like to listen to audiobooks and other type of voiceover podcasts, these could be a good choice. Now, while these headphones are not specifically intended to be used for gaming, I do know many of you use your headphones for a variety of applications. So let's check out some game audio recorded through these headphones. Now, having tested these headphones for gaming, I'm going to say that I'm a bit torn on my recommendation here because on one hand, they do provide a very good level of clarity. Nothing is really overemphasized from the point of view of the game. So the explosions are there. They're certainly strong enough for an open back headphone design, and definitely the clarity of footsteps, any noises in the background, you're going to pick those up. The downside is you lose out on the immersion. Because they're open back, you still have a sense of the room around you. And so that for me kind of took away from the experience. I generally prefer a closed back headphone for gaming, but if you wanted to use them for that, it's not a deal breaker. Now, in terms of soundstage and imaging, I'll say these headphones do a good job of presenting the soundstage, albeit a bit different from my other headphones and certainly studio monitors. Some people call it the Grado sound. I'll leave that for you to determine if you get a chance to try these. Now, imaging performance, on the other hand, is below average for what I would expect. And again, I'm asking a lot. These are a $100 US set of headphones at the time of recording. And so maybe it's a bit unfair to expect a high level of performance for soundstage and imaging. And when I consider that, if imaging isn't your number one category to worry about, then these probably do the job well. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the build quality and construction of these headphones. And I will say they are very lightweight, and that could be good for long listening sessions. They appear to be fairly durable. Material here has, good flex to it. Doesn't seem to really be any issues for breaking. There is some padding along the top here. Now, they just slide up and down. There's just a friction here, nothing really to lock them in place. And I do see that they are loosening up a bit as I wear them, so you have to find out over time what that's going to be like. I will say that they're a bit on the small side. I pretty much almost have them wide open really all the time to get them to fit down to my ears. So that's kind of an issue with these as well here. They're an on-ear design, so you see the ear pads are a little bit smaller than what we're used to with the over-ear models. They're a foam material, and I find them okay. They do get a little bit warm, and you're going to issues with sweat in that over time too, I think, with them. So you may want to think about a pad change or upgrade with these headphones. Now, the cable's permanently attached. It goes to both sides, and it's a braided design. You'll see it comes together here, and then we have one cable after that. It tends to be fairly stiff. These rotate around over and over again, so you can kind of try and position them to where they're kinked up the least possible, I guess, is what you would do to them. But that's just something a little different. They have a 3.5 millimeter jack, and they do come with a 1/4 inch adapter. Seems pretty good here. There's a good strain relief, so durability on the cable is okay. Really, again, in this $100 price range, kind of what I would expect. Again, they're a bit on the small side, so if you have a large head, these may not be the best choice for you. But in terms of a lightweight on-ear design, I think they fit the bill for $100. Now, I'm not going to say a lot about features and specifications with these headphones, other than that they're 38 ohms and you can drive them easily from any device. So phone, tablet, computer, audio interface, you don't need a separate headphone amplifier. The other thing is they incorporate Grado's new 4th generation drivers, which they say help improve dynamic response among other things. And I will say I did find the dynamic response in these headphones to be very good. Now I'll give you my final thoughts on these headphones. And first I will say that they are very polarizing. There's people that really like them, people that really dislike them. But I think a lot of that comes from the audiophile perspective. So I'm going to talk more from the studio perspective. And with the kind of enhanced response in the 2 to 10K range, the sound signature of these headphones reminds me a lot of many other highly regarded studio headphones. Now, I'm not saying that they are an open back MDR 7506, but they do have some of that flavor. Also in the low frequencies, if you mix EDM or hip hop, not going to be the greatest choice for you, but as response in an open back design goes, these are very reasonable for mixing in many genres. And so when I think from a studio perspective, I think a lot of you could actually find these very useful. They're lightweight. They're fairly comfortable to wear over a period of time. Again, I give you a few considerations about build quality, but overall I would say these are an option for studio applications, and of course general listening if the sound profile is what you like. And if you're interested in other options for studio headphones, check out one of the reviews on the screen. As always, thanks for watching. Really appreciate you joining me today, and I'll see you next time.